Prophet Muhammad saw forgiving his enemies in Makkah. There are moments in history that don't just inspire. They redefine what it means to be human, and one of the most powerful of those moments comes from the life of Prophet Muhammad saw. Imagine this: you've been mocked, humiliated, attacked, your followers tortured, your message rejected. For years, you and your people are forced out of your own home Makkah, place where you were born, where your memories live. Now, fast forward. You return, not as a victim but as a leader, at the head of a powerful army. The city that once threw stones at you now trembles at your arrival. This is your moment, the moment where most would seek revenge, justice, payback. And yet, what happens next shocks the world. As Prophet Muhammad saw enters Makkah, there is no anger in his voice, no vengeance in his heart. Instead, there is calm, mercy, and something far greater than power, compassion. He gathers the very people who once persecuted him, the same people who plotted against his life, the same ones who drove him out. And then he asks them a question that hangs in the air. What do you think I will do to you today? They stand there, expecting the worst, because that's what humans do, right? We repay hurt with hurt. But then comes the answer that changed history forever. I say to you what Prophet Yusuf said to his brothers: no blame will there be upon you. Today, go. You are all free, just like that. No revenge, no punishment, total forgiveness. Think about that for a second. This wasn't weakness. This was strength at its highest level. The ability to forgive when you have every right to destroy. This moment, known as the conquest of Makkah, didn't just bring victory, it brought hearts together. People who once hated him now followed him, not out of fear but out of love and respect. And that's the lesson for us today. In a world that teaches us to get even, the example of Prophet Muhammad saw teaches us something higher, rise above. Because true power isn't in revenge, it's in forgiveness. Prophet Muhammad saw and the old woman who hated him. Some stories don't just teach you lessons, they challenge the way you see people. And this is one of those unforgettable moments from the life of Prophet Muhammad saw. Imagine this: in the streets of Makkah, there lived an old woman. Every single day, she would wait, not with kindness, not with curiosity, but with hatred in her heart. Why? Because she couldn't stand the message of Prophet Muhammad saw. So, what did she do? Every time he passed by her house, she would throw garbage on him, day after day. Apology, citation, just pure hostility. Now think about it. How would most people react? Anger, revenge, at the very least, a harsh word, but not. Prophet Muhammad saw would quietly walk on. No alt, no retaliation, just patience and day. And then one day, something strange happened. Walked by, and nothing fell. No garbage, no insult, just silence. For the first time, the routine was broken, and instead of feeling relieved, he became concerned. Why didn't she come today? That question alone says everything. He didn't think, finally, peace. He thought, is she okay? So he did something no one expected. He went to her house, knocked on the door, and when it opened, he saw her sick, weak, unable to even stand. This was the same woman who had disrespected him every single day. And yet, here he was, not to confront her, not to remind her of what she did, but to care for her, to ask if she was okay, to offer help. In that moment, everything changed. The hatred she carried melted because she realized something powerful. This wasn't an ordinary man. This was someone whose character couldn't be broken by cruelty. And right there, her heart softened. Some narrations mention that she accepted his message, moved not by arguments, but by kindness. That's the impact of true character. Prophet Muhammad didn't defeat hatred with force. he defeated it with mercy. And here's the lesson for us today. Sometimes the people who treat you the worst need your kindness the most. Because real strength isn't in proving people wrong. It's in showing them a better way. Prophet Muhammad saw and the crying camel. There are stories that touch your mind, and then there are stories that touch your soul. This is one of them, a moment from the life of Prophet Muhammad saw that shows a level of compassion the world rarely sees. Picture this: the sun is blazing over the desert. The air is dry. Silence fills the land until suddenly a strange sound breaks through. A camel, crying, not the usual noise, not a call. This was different. It was pain, real, deep pain. As Prophet Muhammad walks nearby, he hears it, and unlike others who might ignore it, he stops immediately. Because to him, suffering, no matter where it comes from, always matters. He approaches the camel slowly, and what happens next is something extraordinary. The camel begins to calm down, almost as if it recognizes him. It lowers its head, and according to the narrations, tears were flowing from its eyes. Yes, tears. Prophet Muhammad gently places his hand on the animal. Comforted. Imagine that moment, the connection between a human and an animal, built purely on mercy. But he doesn't stop there. He turns to the people around him and asks, "Who is the owner of this camel?" A man steps forward, and then comes a question that hits hard. "Do you not fear Allah regarding this animal which he has placed in your care?" He points out the truth: the camel is overworked, underfed, exhausted. It wasn't just crying. It was suffering in silence until someone finally listened. That moment wasn't just about a camel. It was about responsibility, about kindness, about recognizing that even those who cannot speak still feel. In a world where animals are often treated as objects, this story flips everything. Prophet Muhammad didn't just teach kindness to people, he lived mercy toward every living being. And here's the powerful takeaway. If a leader, a prophet, a man carrying the weight of a nation could stop for a crying animal, what does that say about how we should treat the world around us? Because real greatness isn't just in how you treat people. It's in how you treat the voiceless. The story of Prophet Muhammad and the Bedouin in the mosque. There are moments that don't just show leadership. They're finir. And this is one of the most powerful examples from the life of Prophet Muhammad Picture this. Inside the sacred space of the mosque in Medina, people are gathered. It's peaceful, respectful, a place of worship. And then suddenly, the city walks in without warning, without understanding. He begins to urinate right there in the mosque. The crowd is shocked. Anger rises instantly. Voices start to lift. People rush forward, ready to stop him, to shout, maybe even punish him for such a disrespectful act. But then, a calm voice cuts through the chaos. "Leave him. Do not interrupt him. It's Prophet Muhammad Think about that for a second. While everyone else reacted with emotion, he responded with wisdom. He understood something deeper. The man didn't know any better. He wasn't being rebellious. He was simply unaware. So, instead of humiliating him in front of everyone, Prophet Muhammad allowed him to finish. Yes, to finish. Then, calmly, he instructed the companions to pour water over the area to clean it. No drama, no shouting, no public shaming. And then he called the man, not to scold him harshly, but to teach him gently. He explained that mosques are places of purity, meant for prayer and remembrance of God, not for such acts. And here's where the story takes a beautiful turn. The Bedouin, instead of feeling attacked or embarrassed, felt respected, heard, understood, so much so that he made a heartfelt supplication. "O Allah, have mercy on me and Muhammad and no one else." The crowd smiled, and Prophet Muhammad gently corrected him again, expanding his understanding even further. That's leadership. That's emotional intelligence at its highest level. In a world quick to judge, quick to cancel, quick to shame, this moment teaches us something timeless. Correct people, but don't crush them, because real influence isn't in overpowering someone, it's in guiding them with patience, dignity, and mercy. Prophet Muhammad saw and the Jewish neighbor. There are stories that don't just inspire, they break barriers. And this is one of the most beautiful moments from the life of Prophet Muhammad saw. Imagine living next door to someone you don't like, someone whose message you disagree with, someone you've already judged in your heart. That's exactly how it was for a Jewish neighbor living beside Prophet Muhammad saw in Medina. Day after day, this neighbor would behave harshly. Some narrations mention insults, cold looks, even attempts to make life difficult. There was tension, dislike, a quiet hostility that lingered in the air. Now pause for a second. What would most people do? Avoid them. Argue back. Return the same energy. Nodding. Prophet Muhammad saw, responded in a way that was completely unexpected. He showed kindness. Not once, not twice, but consistently. No matter how the neighbor behaved, he never lowered his character. Insult, no revenge, just patience and quiet dignity. And then one day, everything changed. The neighbor wasn't seen outside. No harsh words, no presence at all. Again, just like in other moments of his life, Prophet Muhammad saw didn't feel relief. He felt concern. Why haven't I seen him? So he went to check on him. Think about that. A man who was treated poorly, walking to the door of the one who caused him discomfort, not to confront. Tukari. When the door opened, he found the neighbor sick, weak, vulnerable. And in that moment, all barriers disappeared. Prophet Muhammad spoke gently, asked about his health, offered comfort. No mention of the past. No reminders of the pain. Just pure, sincere compassion. That kind of character. It shakes the heart. The neighbor, overwhelmed by this unexpected kindness, began to see him differently. Not as an enemy, but as a man of truth, mercy, and integrity. Some narrations mention that this moment became a turning point for him. And that's the power of character. In a world divided by beliefs, opinions, and differences, this story teaches something timeless. You don't win hearts by force, you win them through kindness. Because sometimes the greatest form of dawah isn't what you say, it's how you treat people.
Prophet Muhammad saw and the hungry family. There are moments in history that don't just show generosity, they redefine what true giving really means. And this is one of the most heart-touching stories from the life of Prophet Muhammad saw. Imagine this. Days have passed, and there is barely any food in the home of Prophet Muhammad saw. Hunger isn't new to him, it's something he and his family have endured with patience, with sabr. And then one day, a poor, hungry family comes seeking help. Now pause. This isn't a moment of abundance. There's no feast waiting, no extra supplies, just a household already struggling. So what does he do? He doesn't turn them away. Instead, Prophet Muhammad looks for a way to help even when he has almost nothing. He turns to his companions and asks, "Who will host this family tonight?" One man steps forward. That man was Abu Talha. He takes the family to his home in Medina. But here's the reality. There's barely enough food, even for his own children. So he comes up with a plan. He tells his wife to prepare whatever little food they have. Then he tells her to put the children to sleep. Hungry. Yes, hungry. Why? So the guests can eat. Then, as the guests begin eating, Abu Talha and his wife pretend to eat alongside them. They sit in the dark, making it seem like they're sharing the meal. But in reality, they give everything to their guests. They sacrifice their own hunger just to make someone else feel full. Think about that level of selflessness. The next morning, when they meet Prophet Muhammad he smiles, a smile filled with pride, and he tells them that Allah was pleased with what they did that night. This wasn't just charity. This was love in action. This was giving when it hurts. And that's the lesson for us today. It's easy to give when you have plenty, but true generosity, it's when you give, even when you have little, because sometimes the smallest sacrifice can become the greatest act of kindness. Prophet Muhammad saw, and the boy who served him. Some stories don't just show kindness. They reveal a kind of character that changes lives forever. And this is one of the most touching moments from the life of Prophet Muhammad. Imagine being a young boy, serving someone every single day, running errands, helping with small tasks, trying your best but sometimes making mistakes. That boy was Anas ibn Malik. He served Prophet Muhammad for years, not days, not weeks, but years. Now here's where the story becomes powerful. Anas later said something that shocks the heart. He said, "I served the messenger of Allah for 10 years, and not once did he ever say to me, 'Why did you do this?' or 'Why didn't you do that?' Let that sink in. 10 years, and not a single harsh word. No yelling, no anger, no humiliation. One day, Prophet Muhammad sent young Anas on an errand. Simple enough, right? But on the way, something caught the boy's attention. Children were playing in the street. He stopped, watched, and like any child, he got distracted and joined them. Time passed, the task completely forgotten. Now imagine the fear creeping in. What if I get in trouble? What if he's angry? But then, a gentle presence appears behind him. It's Prophet Muhammad. No shouting, no anger, just a soft smile. He simply said, "Oh Anas, did you go where I told you to go?" That's it. No embarrassment, no harshness, just a reminder wrapped in kindness. And in that moment, the boy didn't feel fear. He felt love, respect, a desire to do better, not because he was forced to, but because he was inspired to. That's the difference. Prophet Muhammad didn't lead with control. He led with compassion. And that's why his impact wasn't temporary, it was lifelong. Anas carried those memories for the rest of his life, sharing them with the world as a living example of what true character looks like. And here's the lesson for us today. Whether you're leading a team, raising children, or simply dealing with people, you don't build loyalty through fear. You build it through kindness, patience, and understanding. Some gifts are expensive, and then there are gifts that are priceless, not because of their value, but because of the heart behind them. And this is one of those beautiful moments from the life of Prophet Muhammad. Imagine this. A poor man walks slowly through the streets of Medina. His clothes are simple. His face shows the marks of struggle. He doesn't have wealth. He doesn't have status, but he has something powerful: love. In his hands, he carries a small gift. Not gold, not something impressive, just a few simple dates, something most people wouldn't think twice about. But to him, it's everything he has. Now picture the moment. He finally reaches Prophet Muhammad. His heart is racing. Maybe he's wondering, will this be enough? Will it even matter? He offers the gift. And what happens next is what makes this story unforgettable. Prophet Muhammad doesn't just accept it. He smiles, a genuine, warm smile. The kind of smile that tells you matter. He takes the dates and begins to eat from them right there in front of the man. Not to test them, not out of hunger, but to honor the gift, to show that this small offering was big in value. Then he shares those dates with the companions around him, turning a simple gift into a moment of connection, respect, and dignity. Think about that. He didn't measure the gift by its size. He measured it by sincerity. In a world where people often judge by appearance, wealth, and status, this moment flips everything. Because the poor man didn't feel small. He felt seen. He felt valued. He felt proud. And that's the impact of true character. Prophet Muhammad taught us that no act of kindness is ever too small, and no sincere gift is ever insignificant. And here's the lesson for us today. It's not about how much you give. It's about how much heart you put into it. Because sometimes the smallest gift carries the greatest love. Prophet Muhammad and the orphan child. Some stories don't just touch your heart, they heal it. And this is one of the most emotional moments from the life of Prophet Muhammad SAW. Imagine this. It's the day of Eid in Medina. The streets are alive. Children are laughing, running, dressed in their best clothes. Joy is everywhere, but in the middle of all that happiness, there's one child sitting alone. Quiet, tears in his eyes. No new clothes, no family around him, no one to celebrate with. An orphan. Now think about it. In a world full of noise and celebration, it's easy to overlook the one who's hurting, but not for Prophet Muhammad SAW. As he walks through the streets, he notices the boy. He doesn't ignore him. He doesn't walk past. He stops. He turns toward him and gently asks, "My child, why are you sitting here alone? Why aren't you playing with the others?" The boy looks up, his voice heavy with sadness. "My father has passed away, and my mother has remarried. I have no one." That moment, it could break anyone. But what happens next is something truly beautiful. Prophet Muhammad SAW kneels down to his level, not as a leader, not as a prophet, but as someone who understands. Because he too was an orphan, he gently says, "Would you be happy if I become your father, and Aisha bint Abu Bakr becomes your mother?" Imagine hearing that from a man known for his truth, his mercy, his love. The boy's eyes light up. Hope replaces sadness. Tears turn into a smile. Prophet Muhammad SAW takes him home, gives him new clothes, feeds him, and makes him feel something he hadn't felt in a long time. Belonging, love, family, and just like that, the loneliest child in the street becomes the happiest. That's the power of compassion. In a world where people are often too busy to care, this moment teaches us something unforgettable. You don't need to change the whole world to make a difference. Sometimes, changing one person's world is enough. Because true greatness isn't in how many people know your name. It's in how many hearts you heal along the way. Prophet Muhammad SAW and the night of Isra and Miraj. There are moments in history that feel beyond imagination. Moments that remind you that the unseen world is more real than what we can touch. And one of the most extraordinary of these moments is the night of Isra and Miraj from the life of Prophet Muhammad SAW. Imagine this. It's a quiet night in Mecca. The world is asleep. The streets are still, but something incredible is about to happen. Prophet Muhammad SAW is taken on a journey, one that no human has ever experienced before. The journey begins with Isra. In a single night, he is carried from Makkah to Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. not by ordinary means, but on a special creation known as Björk faster than anything we can imagine. When he arrives, something remarkable happens. He leads all the previous prophets in prayer. Think about that moment, a gathering of the greatest messengers of God, standing together, and he is chosen to lead. Then comes the second part, Mirage, the ascension. Prophet Muhammad is taken up through the heavens, layer by layer, level by level. In each heaven, he meets Prophet Saddam, Isa, Musa, and others, each welcoming him with peace, until he reaches a point no human had ever reached before, a place beyond the limits of creation. And there, he is given a gift, not wealth, not power, but something far greater, the command of prayer, Salah, a direct connection between the Creator and every believer. At first, 50 prayers a day were prescribed, but through mercy and consultation, it was reduced to 5 while still carrying the reward of 50. Think about that. 5 moments in your day that connect you to something infinite. This journey wasn't just a miracle. It was a message that even in the darkest times, there is a path to something higher. And here's the lesson for us today. When life feels heavy, when the world feels overwhelming, remember this night, because if Prophet Muhammad was lifted to the heavens, then maybe, just maybe, your prayers can lift you too.